Ron, I think my internet sucks again. So
yeah, something's up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you.
Yeah, you guys just. I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to remove myself and let you guys do your thing. I'm at one of my offices I've never tried the show from before, and I thought I had better internet than this. Does it seem okay now?
Yeah, the audio so far, just you talking is okay, but your picture's jerking around a little bit. Dave, you there?
I'll be here. Just got a text that Roy Haulin passed away today, Texas Bluebonnet from down south.
Oh, really? I remember that name.
He done a lot.
That was a mod 4-drive truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when Texas owned the 4-wheel drive world with the Bluebonnet and Manuel Moreno's Yellow Rose and Popham's Milky Way.
Yeah, that was back in the 80s.
Yep.
Things were booming in the pulling world anyway.
Ron, I'm going to remove myself and I'll stay behind the scenes. You guys just do your thing. I don't want to screw it up with my crappy internet, okay?
All right, we good to go? All right. Well, welcome to Outlawed with Ron Stone, 3rd edition here on Tuesday night. Tuesday night before Ravenna, Nebraska. Special guest this evening is none other than the Oklahoma Cowboy, Dave Bennett. I was going to mention that. That was my first question, Dave. Where's the hat?
I can go get it right quick, but I'm indoors, So.
Almost didn't recognize you. How are things in Nenagh?
Well, the sun came out today for the first time in 45 days.
Also, we pulled you away from work a little bit then?
I would have been in the field. There's a rake calling my name outside, but no, I'm proud to be on here with you guys.
I figured we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Jason is having some technical difficulties with his internet service there where he's at in one of his offices. So Dave and I will just roll with it here. Dave, coming up on Ravenna, Nebraska. Any memories of Ravenna, Nebraska worth speaking about here tonight?
Well, Ravenna has got a lot of memories for me. I mean, I've hid under a flatbed trailer that I was bouncing off of from hailstones that was the size of baseball. I've run from a tornado. I needed a coat, and I didn't take one with me because it was June at a particular show. And Photo Joe had to loan me one out of his camper because everybody was freezing to death. Weather's always the issue. As far as the first memory of Ravenna is weather. That's something. I haven't looked at your forecast. Have you looked at the forecast?
Yes, we have. It's supposed to be hot and dry. So, fingers crossed that it'll remain that way. Dubuque was a little scary there a couple of weeks ago. We got Friday night canceled. And, of course, Saturday was supposed to be clear all day, and of course it started drizzling on us at showtime. So
right at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Everybody needs to get there early because the stands on the west is nice and shaded, and that's where all the food stands are, and best view of the track. And then over there on your side, where you're going to be at, and you haven't announced there, so you're going to have two green announcers there for the first time. But you're going to be up in a little perch, and you're going to get a face full of sun. And it's an early start. It ain't a 7 o'clock start. They start like at 6 o'clock one night and 5 o'clock the next.
7 on Friday, 5:30 on Saturday.
Okay. Anyhow, you're going to get a suntan.
Okay, I'll bring my sunglasses with me then.
You're going to
sure. Yeah, it'll be my first time out there. You're right on that.
And y'all got some sort of a kickoff party on Thursday night.
Oh yeah, little party. We're gonna go down to the R Bar. Have you heard of the R Bar in Ravenna?
Never have. Every time I was there, the Anavar Festival was going on, and so downtown was closed down. You kind of had to snake your way in from the backside to get to the pool. And so I never did go there. We went out on Thursday night. We either stopped at Grand Island and met there, some of the pullers and such as that. But since Anavar is not going on, it's kind of neat that the businesses like where you're going is going to get behind you and kind of have a good kickoff. And the pullers that come from a long ways get there early on Thursday for parking spot and the distance out there and such as that. So you ought to have a really good time there.
Yeah, it should be. We're scheduled for 4 to 7. Got a few pullers lined up. We've got the Haulin grass truck, the Pro Stock 4-wheel drive champion from last year. The Browns, we got them lined up. We've got Roger Ruwe, one mean farmer. We got him lined up. And we've got Buffalo's Chips, Supermod 2-wheel drive coming out of Missouri. Got them lined up to come in and display their machines, let the kids look at them and the big kids look at them and hopefully get some more butts in the stands out there, get some more interest and get some more pulling fans.
Them are some unique machines you got coming right there. That is for a fact. Roger Ruwe's machine, I mean, he is, years back, I don't know, pick a number, 6 years ago, when he first come out, I didn't know him. He just kind of also run this and that and other, but he was distinct with that one mean farmer on his tires.
Yeah.
And that boy has every year has stepped up. And what he's coming with this year, I mean, he's got his guns loaded this year.
Yeah, he's super competitive. He's a competitor for sure. And that is a pretty tractor. It's definitely a head turner. Funny enough, we're sitting here talking. Tim is calling me from Ravenna, so I'm going to send him a little text back. But yeah, we're set up for Thursday night and kind of something we're doing this year. And Jason got us started with it in Dubuque. I had a little kickoff party up there and had some tractors and a truck out there. Kind of liked the way that went. Kind of enjoyed that and got the weekend started off right. So we're going to try to start a little tradition here and try to do this with the Outlaws going in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and people, a little sneak preview. A lot of shows, the crowd can't get into the pit area and get a look. Now, Ravenna is one of the places that they can go get a look, close-up look, but a lot of shows they can't. So, like we can go downtown and people that might not be able to be there on the weekend where they can get a good look and touch and feel and take the kids and such as that. That's a neat deal. Right.
Well, we're looking forward to it. And like I said, it'll be my first time out there, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. And it'll be nice to get out there and get some pulling without the threat of rain, get the stress of that rain out of the forecast. That makes you nervous when there's rain threatening all day.
Well, Dubuque was your first show and you got kicked off, and I sat here and watched it. That's one thing I like about outlawpulling.tv. Even though I've retired, I still sit here and I critique you guys, as you well know.
Yeah, I enjoy those texts. Of course, I do that to you sometimes at Louisville as well. So.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of Louisville, trying to keep everything straight, and I'm getting some smart remark about a Dodge and a Ford from somebody.
That I don't know who would do that, but
Well, I'll give you a first clue. I'm looking at it, but it's Ravenna. Even though it's not the kickoff show, that's going to be the kickstart for the Outlaws. The season is underway once you get Ravenna under your belt, and then it's rock and roll after that.
Yeah, it starts to ramp up. After Ravenna kind of starts that ramp up to July and August, and it's Katie bar the door. Come July and August, we'll be really busy going into fair season, as you well know.
Yeah.
We've got multiple events going on the same weekends, and some Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights and Thursday nights. And, of course, the Iowa State Fair is back this year. Any memories from the Iowa State Fair?
Yeah, the new venue, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about that. Another one I've never been to, Dave, so.
Well, you'll find, crowds, Ron, even though you've done a lot of singing and performing a lot of different places, every town, every crowd has its own, I don't know, what do you want to call it, style or the type,
Oh, yeah.
Ravenna's a good crowd, very respectful crowd. They get loud, but then they're ready for the next book. Iowa State Fair, they get loud and proud. They're ready for pulling. They want action, and that's a loud crowd right there. So
I'm looking forward to it.
You'll enjoy Iowa State Fair.
So for those of you just joining us, talking to Dave Bennett, longtime announcer of the Outlaws. I say retired, but, we really should say semi-retired, I think, Dave. You're still kind of in the biz a little bit. As a matter of fact, you're going to Whitewright, Texas here in a couple of weeks, correct?
I'm looking forward to that. Go down and just sit back and just watch and see how things run and not have to work.
Right. You're going down. Josh will be down there. I'll be in Iowa.
Yeah, you're in Manila that weekend.
Yeah, Manila, Iowa. I'll be up there, and Josh is going down to Whitewright. So that's another one of those two events going on the same night, that Saturday night. Just want to talk to you a little bit about your career with the Outlaws. How long were you the lead announcer for the Outlaws?
That could be picked in a lot of different ways, but 1998, basically when I debuted with the Outlaws and such as that. Doug Roberts wasn't even president when I done some Outlaw stuff and went that way. And it's been a long run, 98 to last year before last, this year, however you want to call it. But it's been a long run, a lot of miles.
You got into announcing. Give us a little history on Dave Bennett, how he got to be an announcer.
What is this? This is a 5-hour show, or?
You know what? That's funny you say that, because I was talking to somebody the other day about talking to you. I think it was back in February. I was coming back from the convention in Nebraska, and I gave you a call, and I was in Nebraska, and I was in Missouri before we got off the phone. I think we talked for over 3 hours. The only reason we quit talking was I got cut off there for a bad signal. Yeah, it could go a little ways, but that's good. We're on a podcast. We have no restrictions here, Dave.
And it's too bad Jason's having technical difficulty. You take 3 announcers going at the same time. I like what he's got on the bottom line here, talking about Ravenna and Nebraska, and who knows what. But getting back to your question, I witnessed my very first tractor pull. Didn't know nothing about them. I'd heard a little bit about them, and I witnessed my very first one in 1974. And I was a hot rodder back in the day. I liked the street race and such as that. And I went to a little old county town, Fort Cobb, about 20 miles over here, 30 miles. And I seen my first modified tractor, and that was it. That was it. I've got to go. Got to have it. And so in 75, I went down to Fort Worth, Texas, to the Southwest Machinery Show tractor pull, which was just as big in those days as Louisville is nowadays. And I took a tape measure and a notepad, and I took notes, and I looked, and I got me a rule book. And I went to building in 1976. I pulled out and went to Elk City with my very first modified tractor. In 78, 79. In 79, I had a blower motor, but I was president of the Outlaws, the Oklahoma Association. And Mike Galloway was announcing for the Outlaws back in the Oklahoma Association back in those days. And he got picked up by USHRA, and he had to go to some events, and I was president, and I had a show coming up. And so I told the promoter in Miami, Oklahoma, I could do it. And my career took off right then after doing Miami, Oklahoma. In 1980, I sold my modified and just started traveling to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Texas, and Kansas, and doing shows, and just took off from there. And then United Sports of America formed, and they heard me at a show, and they picked me up and contracted me. And the unique thing about careers, at one time, back in the heyday of the indoor and the major stadiums, I mean, I've done the Orange Bowl Stadium and the Cow Palace and Buffalo, New York Stadium and Sullivan Field, such as that. But USHRA was up and coming in big time, and USA was up and coming in big time. And I was the lead contracted announcer to USA, and Mike Galloway was the contracted announcer for United States Hot Rod. And we'd ride the airport together. I remember one time distinctly, he flew to do the LA Coliseum, and I flew to do the Orange Bowl, and we rode together to the airport, all from a little town of Chickasha, Oklahoma. Even though I live in Nennecaw, it's just a suburb. And so that's when I started really traveling. And then I got to where I didn't want to do the monster trucks and the mud racing, and I come back to pulling. And that's when Outlaws picked me up, and just one show after another.
Just snowballed from the beginning. Now you've announced I'm not sure if you see the comments on the screen there, Dave, but Lori Bauer chimed in there and said, it could be a long night. I think that was in reference to.
Yeah. Josh is on there talking about the stories and that and the other. Lori knows how long a night it can be. You get us started reminiscing. So.
Now, as far as pulling, you mentioned you started out actually pulling.
Yes, I did.
Kurt Van Beek is. Do you see Kurt Van Beek's comment, by the way?
I'm reading that right now.
I know the question you're going to ask. He mentions a lot. What is a lot, Kurt Van Beek?
Yeah. Send a blank check. I'll fill it in. We'll see where I go.
Now, you getting back to the question, you started out pulling, and then you crossed over into announcing. When did you stop pulling? Were you actually pulling and announcing at the same time at shows?
I let my wife, Linda, start driving. She won the state championship here in Oklahoma when I started announcing. I never did announce the show, lay the microphone down, go pull, and come back and announce. I stayed on the microphone, and I let my wife drive. And then I sold the rig. Actually, I started pulling. My first time down the track on a rig was Elk City, Oklahoma. The last time that I took a machine down the track that I owned, I've done a lot of driving since then, but we was in Elk City, Oklahoma, and show was over with. And that's back when everybody lived at, stayed at motels. There wasn't no such thing as campers and fire pit parties and such as that back in those days. And everybody had already loaded up and gone to the motel. And I'd got done with the show doing some stock classes and such as that. And I went out to the trailer to load up, and there was no boy out there that was just crawling over and under and around. And I was being polite to him, but everywhere I wanted to put a chain, he was in the way. And I finally looked at him. I said, if you'll buy this dadgum thing, you can get a real close look at it. And he said, how much? And I popped off a price. And 2 days later, it was leaving out of my driveway, and I didn't get another machine.
Yeah. Did you ever try to buy it back? That's the question.
Nope.
Nope.
I took off when he bought it. It went back, Elk City. I started Elk City. I stopped pulling with my own machine anyhow. But that's when I started pursuing the announcing. And
yeah, it's almost impossible to do both. You have to have somebody fill in for you. I've been there, with my truck
right
early on, and yeah, I'd love to do both, but it's almost impossible. There's so much to do. As an announcer, I mean, there's so much you have to be ready for, and I know you're always prepared and ready to go at least an hour before the show. You're chomping at the bit to get started. So is that how you've always ran your ship? Is always prepared and ready to rock and roll and before a show like that?
Yep. I'm reading the comments right here. Nelson, Dave Nelson's got to prove that expense. Just send the check. He'll be okay. And Darren right there, I thank him for his remark very much. I appreciate that. And that, my side stories, that's what a lot of people's always commented about, that getting those side stories. When you're out in the pit area, just shooting the breeze and nonchalant, and you get the pullers off guard and feeling comfortable, you can find out a lot of stuff that you can tweak and tell over the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Thomas is asking what my favorite pulling tractor is. Is that including all the classes? Or are we talking modifieds, or that?
He might be asking specifically what specific tractor. I mean, that'd be a pretty good question. From all eras of pulling, from the time you started till now, your favorite tractor.
Yeah, that even though I was modified, I'm a hot rodder at heart. I have a need for speed. And the noise, and it's just a real thrill. But even though I like the mods and the two-wheelers and the noise boys, the diesels just are so impressive, so impressive. And so a big pro or a big super is what I like the most, to really enjoy. But to pick one out of them, I mean, you take the years I've been there, you go back, Danny Dean and the Rooster,
right.
Which to this day and time, what would he compare with in this day of time? Slawball's machine is really good. Right there's the modified, Ulmer's modified. Those Chevrolet engines right there are sweet sounding. And there ain't nothing better sounding than Ulmer's Chevrolets.
Yeah, they twist them pretty tight.
Yeah, they do. But I really, for what those boys can get out of those diesel tractors, is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. It's and the numbers keep going up. The horsepower numbers.
Yep. And right there, Thomas come in, and he's saying his favorite tractor is the Sweet Pain. That's who we got pictured right there on the screen. And that's what we were just talking about. There's so many mod tractors that's awesome. Nelson's tractor, one of a kind, the DT.
Right.
And such as that. I've got a picture of it back here on my back wall when he was hanging the twins on each side of it.
Right.
But when you want to talk about a sweet sound in that Sweet Pain, those Chevrolets are Hummers now.
Yeah, he twists them pretty tight. That's there's no doubt. I love to hear a motor spun pretty tight like that. It's pretty impressive. I know they do a lot of wrenching on them too to keep them together.
And that, and you bring up a point right there. A lot of these, not so much Outlaws, but throughout the United States, they've got somebody else wrenching on them. Or they got spare motors that somebody else has built, and this and that and the other. The Ulmers, they do 90% of their own work. They make their own horsepower, and there's something to that as well.
Yeah, and as competitive as they are too, they're successful running those Chevrolets. Dave, you mentioned you saw your first tractor pull in 1974.
That's when I went to my very first one to view it. Yes.
That's interesting because I believe that's the first year that I went to see the tractor pull. Of course, I was 3 years old. My dad did a tractor pull, and I remember it. You know, I remember actually being scared of some of the tractors that were there, like Art Arfon's. Just just I was a little boy, you know, I was a toddler, and some of those things just looked. I'd never seen anything like it before, and but of course, you know, going that young and going every summer, and you know, the tractor pulls, that was my Disney World, you know, when I was a kid. So yeah, it's kind of different that we started out the same year there, pretty much, as far as going to our first pull.
Mm-hmm. Except I was married and using diapers.
Yeah, I probably was still at that point.
And Thomas is asking if I've ever seen the 6-engine tractor. Yes, I have. Most definitely. And I'm quite sure that he's probably talking of current time, which would be up in Missouri. But I can go back to, and this is what's bad. I go to try and pull up names anymore, and I can't do it. Banner Brothers, you know, back in the day, those boys, if anybody was pushing them, they just figured out how to hang another motor. And there was no end to how many motors they was hanging.
Yeah. Then, of course, Engler came out with seven Chevys on his tractor. The 1 year he went from 5 Aries to 7 Chevys, and that was the 80s. There was a lot of pulling going on in the 80s, but you haven't always announced just tractor pulls, Dave.
Oh no. When you know, it's a funny thing. I don't know how many kids is listening, but I'm gonna throw this out there. I knew that I enjoyed announcing, and I done public speaking when I was in FFA, and I learned public speaking in Future Farmers of America, 4-H as well. But then when I started announcing, I set a goal. And back in that day and time, NTPA was the only thing around. Yeah, you had a Oklahoma association, you had a Kansas association, but NTPA was what everybody patterned at. And at that time, the NTPA, if you was going to have an NTPA event, you had to use an NTPA approved announcer. You had to be on their approved announcing list to put on an NTPA show. Okay. Well, the NTPA never did come to Oklahoma, or they did in Tulsa a time or two, but I wanted my name on that list, just to have my name on that list. You know, I knew I'd never be able to, I didn't think I would go to a national event or anything like that, but my goal was to get my name on that list. So I set myself a goal. And you had to get a board of director to come down to at a show you was doing. You had to jump through a few hoops. And I got my name on the NTPA approved announcers list, and that was a highlight. I thought I had reached the top of the mountain right there.
What year was that?
Oh, roughly? I would really be picking a number right there, but that'd be like, that's because of USA, and I started USA late. So I'm going to say in 84, 85, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. Somewhere in that early 80s.
Yeah, it's as a kid, you know, I grew up in Ohio and some in Kansas City as well. And I'm sure as a kid, I went to some pulls that you were announcing, possibly an event at Arrowhead Stadium back in the early 80s, mud run and tractor pull. And
was it good, the drag racing side by side at that show then? We done it in Arrowhead one time.
I don't recall. I think it might have been a USA show. But
it was. If it was an Arrowhead, it was a USA show.
Yeah, I still actually have the program from that show. So,
but anyhow, USA started. They had done Foxborough. Oh, there's some good pictures coming up on the screen right there. They're good time. Anyhow, they had done Foxborough and sold Foxborough out. They went to Miami Orange Bowl and done fantastic down there, but they was running monster trucks, mud racing, and MTPA pulling tractors. John Heilman was traveling with them. And their third show in USA's creation, there's a picture of the Browns. I got that picture right over here on the wall. Bless her heart. Anyhow, and they had to use an approved announcer. And I was working a parts store in town, coming home and farming at night. And I had come in to change clothes to go out to farm. Phone rang, and it was United Sports of America. And it was the secretary up there, and she told me who she was, and that they was doing a show in Dallas Stadium. That was not the new one, but the old one, of course. And that they needed an announcer for the tractor pull, and was I available, and what would I charge? Well, I started to tell them I'd pay them to go do it, but I didn't. And I went down there, and the production room was the Dallas cheerleaders' dressing room, which is nothing fancy by no means. It ain't nothing but blocks and concrete blocks and hooks on the wall.
Sure.
But I went in and checked in, and she allowed that Mr. Klein, Russ Klein, who was the owner of USA, one of the owners, would be with me in a little bit. And 2 minutes later, he walked up, stuck his finger in my chest, and said, "You're here only because the MTPA says I got to hire an announcer and use the closest one to Dallas, and you're to do the tractor pull. I'll do the rest of the show." Yes, sir. And I knew everybody down there. I didn't have to have no script or nothing at all.
Right.
I knew the sled. I knew all the pullers, even the Haulin, and them boys. About halfway through the deal in Texas Stadium, Russ Klein just pushed his chair back away from. And I was sitting up there where that's back in the days of Howard Cosell and them boys. I sat in the same chairs as Don Meredith and Howard Cosell sat in. But he pushed himself back and he says, "You think I just popped off a mother-in-law joke about something about on the pulling sled?" And he pushed his chair back and he says, "You think you're pretty damn good, don't you?" And I said, "No, sir, I just know what I know." Well, just do the whole show. Well, we're running mud racers that I've never met. We're doing monster trucks that they was big things with big tires on them. I wasn't into that. But I just started blowing smoke about motors and what was going on. The next week, I got a call from that little secretary, and they wanted me in Indianapolis, and I just took off from there. Getting back to the deal, I set a goal. I wanted on that list of the NTPA announcers list. If I hadn't been on that list, I wouldn't have got that shot in Dallas, Texas. So,
Jerry Setter had a question there. Was asking if you'd ever driven another pulling vehicle other than your mod tractor, if somebody else had ever got you in the seat of their machine.
I have driven everything in the sport of pulling: smoke, mods, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, manual Merinos, Yellow Rose of Texas. I've drove it. The only thing that I haven't driven is a mini rod. But the big mods, Allison, I've done Allison. Used to be a tractor out of Indiana, the Allison, I drive every once in a while. So I have taken everything. I've done everything in the sport of pulling, built the tracks, run the sleds, driven something in every class. I don't know of nothing in the sport of pulling that I haven't done. So
except drive a mini rod.
Except drive a mini rod.
What year is that picture from approximately, Dave?
That would be 1977.
That was a single engine mod?
Single engine mod. That's a Massey Harris 101 Junior gas tank that you're seeing right there that I used to put water in to cool the motor.
What was the rear end in that tractor?
Massey 101 Junior.
That's a 101 Junior.
No,
Very
Kurt
cool.
Beck, I have not driven a diesel super stock.
Oh, okay.
And Jerry Setter's asking about a turbine. I've driven a turbine monster truck, but not a turbine tractor. But I drove a Coors Light Silver Bullet monster truck that was powered by a turbine engine.
Yeah, I remember seeing that at Camper Arena. You probably was announcing that show as well, probably.
I announced every show USA done in Camper Arena. That's a lot of memories right there.
Very cool.
Van Beek says we can make that happen. I think his baby boy has something to say about that.
Yeah, he could make that happen pretty easily, couldn't he?
And he wants to know where the cowboy hat is. Am I going to have to get the hat? My wife said no. My manager's sitting right over there.
She's keeping you straight.
Yeah.
We don't have you on a 5-second delay. She's just over there to keep you straight. So, you've been other places announcing other than the U.S., Dave. We'd like to hear about where you've been around the world.
Hand me that map right now. I will, but I'm going to show them that map. I've done every province of Canada. I've been to Australia twice, toured the continent of Australia. I was down there for 90 days one time and never stayed in the same motel twice. I don't know if you can get a good look at that.
Yeah, we see it.
That is, there we go. That is 90% of everywhere I've held a microphone.
So
every state except for one right out in here, Army Armstrong territory.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina, yeah.
I've done North Carolina with Benson, and Benson with the Grand National a couple of years back.
I remember that.
But I haven't done Alaska or Hawaii as far as announcing. I was scheduled to go to Kuwait after the Australian tours, and monster trucks was being loaded on the ship, and then the government shut that thing down. I went to Australia in '89. That was for a 4-week deal. We done Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, and that was for a test. And then we went back in '91 for 90 days straight, toured the entire continent, all the way through the middle, all the way around the outside, and then every province in Canada and 47 states in the United States I've announced in.
Yeah, that's really cool. And to go to that many places, I mean, that's cool that you have that map. I mean, just to look at it, I mean, hang it on your wall there and look at it and say you've been to all those places and held a microphone there.
And there's a few pins that when I started that you just can't remember.
Yeah.
Some of the places you've been to.
Um,
like in Fargo, North Dakota, it was so cold up there that mud racers couldn't wash the mud off their cars fast enough. So.
What's I know mostly it's motorsports. You've tractor pulling, monster trucks, mud racing. Have you ever announced a show that was outside the realm of motorsports or any other interesting events?
I had done the show tractor pull in Oakley, Kansas for years. Bill Schwartz with the Junkyard Dog. He knew me back in the day, and I'd done his show in Oakley, Kansas forever. And you know how budgets are with things.
Sure.
And they had a rodeo the night before the tractor pull. So to save money, they hired me to do the rodeo. I never got asked to do a rodeo again.
Yeah, I've done demolition derbies before and a couple of my daughter's swim meets, but that's about it. I did some mud runs as well.
But when you worked with USA Demolition, now I did announce while driving a demolition car in Florida one time for them, but outside of motors, That'd have to be the rodeo thing.
How did that go when you were announcing inside the car? Were you actually able to talk while you were in there, or were you concentrating?
Yeah, they rigged the microphone up. I didn't have a full face. They just kind of like an Earnhardt helmet. They didn't have.
Yeah.
They had, and it was pretty neat. Of course, me, you know me, I don't have no trouble talking, and I can go 100 mile an hour and talk. If I hit something, oh well. But
It'd be interesting to have that footage of that, to be able to hear that today. I did that in Nebraska at a show a few years ago with Nebraska Bush. Cody Meyer was going to let me drive his turbine. I thought, I was announcing the show. We were live streaming it, and I got a wireless mic and set it up and had it ready to go and rigged it up inside my helmet. And I thought, I'm just going to talk as I'm going down the track. And once the throttle went forward and I let off the brake, I was silent. I was concentrating all the way down the track. I didn't say another word until the tractor stopped. But yeah, a lot of concentration going on there when I was going down the track. So, your favorite place ever to announce?
My favorite place.
Putting you on the spot here.
You know, that's one of those political questions that you're going to make somebody happy and somebody mad. Probably the favorite, the most, Mark Ham's got footage of your pass in that mod, by the way. I was reading that on the screen.
Oh, they have it on there.
The favorite place to announce was when I was able to bring the Outlaws to Chickasha, Oklahoma, and show this community here in Chickasha what I was a part of, and the Outlaws showed up. And so that would be my favorite place is right here in my hometown.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because nobody knows what I did or the places and who I've met and the people I've met. It's kind of like when I was doing BC Place in Vancouver, Canada. They don't call him a governor up there. The same as a governor here in the state of Oklahoma, but I forget what they call him. But it was a lady, and her suite was right next door to the announcer's room. And after the show, she sent word over because she wanted to meet that Yank that was doing all the talking.
So you mentioned the Chickasha pool. Dave, are you doing anything with the Chick? Of course, we're going back to Chickasha this year.
The pool is coming back to Chickasha. Andy, I'll get to that question a little bit. I'm actually trying to think of what that might be. I've seen so many. But my official capacity of the Chickasha show this year is I'm a consultant.
Okay.
Josh Runyon, who will be with you in Ravenna.
Yep.
Is putting that show on. He's working really hard getting sponsorships. He's got the fair on board. I kind of had to fight a few things here in Chickasha when it all took place, but there's been a change of guard, and he's got some great people helping him, and it's kind of a good deal that the pool's coming back here to Chickasha August the 28th.
Yep.
Here in Oklahoma. The only outlaw truck and tractor pool in the state of Oklahoma will be here in Chickasha in August.
Yeah, it's I'd like to see that grow down there a little bit more, get some more pools down there in Oklahoma. I'm sure the folks are ready for it there again. But yeah, he couldn't have picked a better consultant there. And of course, you're right there close. So yeah, we're looking forward to going back to Chickasha this year. You're seeing the questions. I'm not even seeing the questions now, Dave. So
you're not seeing the questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, there
we go.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. The most jaw-dropping pass I've ever seen in all the years of pulling. That's, are you going to include the wild wrecks and rides? That would be in the Astrodome. When had a little bit of a sled failure, and we went, the modified 4-engine went from one end of the dome to the other and got about that close to the wall before they got things shut down. Another one that comes to mind was up in Nebraska. on the western sweep when the track separated. The wet portion from the dry portion, and the wet portion got underneath the sled, and they shot out there like 485 feet before they got things shut down. So
I got a question.
Them were jaw droppers to me. Them was, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What was the most? Josh said you could make a guest appearance.
I could make a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You send that blank check too, Josh. I'll do you just like I did Van Beek.
Yeah, that's something that this past year, Dave, that I've kind of stepped in your shoes in your role there. I had actually got to eat a lot more cookies and snacks this year, or this past year. So with a full season this year, I'm looking forward to that.
Get ready for Wisner, buddy. They feed you well up there.
It seemed like when we would announce together, every time I turned around, you had a bunch of cookies. And I was like, where is he getting all these cookies? And I finally seen people were bringing them to you. So it was definitely a tradition from year to year.
You got to know who to take care of now.
I sent you a picture there at Rock Valley last year, my handful of cookies I had. I don't know if you remember that. But most interesting situation at a pull. How do I word that? I think I know what it would be, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Something you'd never seen happen before, never thought you'd see happen before.
There's so much that involves. I mean, if you want to,
I figured it'd be a gimme from March of 2020.
March of 2020.
Cowtown Showdown. Or
yeah.
The COVID Showdown. Yeah. That I remember talking with you how crazy that was, and you said you'd never seen anything like that before in your life. As far as, of course, the pandemic. I mean, we haven't had to deal with that.
Oh,
on that level.
Show without a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's in a totally different realm. That year will be talked about not only in the sport of pulling, of all the stuff that changed, and our normal will never, pulling will not be the same. I'm interested to see how Ravenna comes out, how many people come back out to Ravenna. Looks like you had good turnout up in Dubuque. I don't know, how the other associations.
Yeah, as far as spectators.
That's the driving force. I mean, we got a sport. You do your job, I done my job. Pullers do their job. We can put on a show, but without people in the stands, and we got to make the people happy. But COVID changed the world as to are they going to come back out? Do they want to come back out? It's going to be interesting to see.
We're crossing our fingers, hoping they're itching to get out and breathe some fresh air and go see some tractor pulling this summer. That going back to that Cowtown Showdown, of course, I'm one of the promoters there, and the pullers, we told them, it's, you may or may not get paid. We just don't know how that deal's going to turn out, but we can cancel it. And nobody wanted to cancel; they wanted to pull. So we pulled, and they pulled like they were pulling for the championships, pulling in the United States. I mean, it was like it was the Super Bowl going on of pulling. I couldn't believe how hard they were. They were hard on equipment for sure. I mean, you witnessed it.
And I know we got into that situation, and you was kind of looking. I was consulting at that time. I probably should have kept my mouth shut. But the Allison out of Canada.
Yeah.
You'd already pulled 2 or 3. There's only 2 or 3 left. Because at the end of the show, as an afternoon performance, we had the nighttime. And you'd said something about restarting, and I suggested not to because of the situation, what all was going on, and it turned out the worst thing in the world happened, and it did.
Yeah.
That's what I remembered about Cowtown when you were talking about it.
Yeah, I felt terrible about that, but hopefully we'll see him back here. I don't even know if the Canadian pullers can come down and pull right now with stuff going on at the border.
If they cross the border, that's a good point, because he normally shows up at Rock. He has showed up at Rock Valley before.
Good people too. Talking about Bill Prince and up in Canada with the Allison. He has another tractor too. He had just purchased that one tractor from the Bollingers right before that weekend. That was his first time pulling it there at Cowtown. So he has two of those, and I think he has another tractor. Somebody said he was building as well. So he's planning on pulling. We just got to get him.
He's got the rigs to do with it.
Got to get him across the border there. So
get him across that. But that was one of those deals that you'd already had hooked two. I think one had broke. And
Andy Gerbeck
put it in the sand.
Yeah.
And he had already sent word he wasn't going to put it in the sand, so we made a full pull mark. He just didn't lift quick enough, and it was a bad deal. So you can blame me for that one.
He grenaded the supercharger on it. And of course, Wayne Longnecker explained to me, that once those back tires freewheel, that supercharger, there's nothing to limit it. It spins out of control, and that's what happened. It grenaded itself. So
Andy Gerbeck says that the border will be open on June the 22nd. That's going to be a week too late.
Yeah.
So it'll be at Rock Valley, I guess.
Right. Getting back to the announcing thing here, Dave, what shows do you have on your agenda for possibly 2021 or 2022?
Well, I'm going to show up at Whitewright.
Okay.
And then just enjoy myself. And that's the only show that I plan on going to this year. And 2022 is still, who knows? I might pop into a Rock Valley or a Ravenna or a Wisner. Wisner's a fun place. Now, I know where you're going to have your pre-show party in Wisner, because we've had a pre-show party there every year Wisner's been going on. That's at the VFW on Thursday night.
I've heard about it. I have not been there.
You got a lot of newbies to y'all going. Maybe I need to start consulting all the new announcers as what's going on in these towns.
I heard about it a few times, but
all you can eat fish fry, and they'll always have some kind of entertainment, and the bars open on that side, and family room on that side, and the VFW is a hopping spot in Wisner. Before that show,
I always behave myself, and I go to bed early and all that, so I wouldn't know about all that.
Your lips is moving. That's when you're lying.
So, any word on the National Farm Machinery Show in 2022?
That is the only show that I am booked to still announce. When they canceled it for 2021, the president of the Kentucky State Fair Board, which that week of Louisville, I'm a state employee. You're not working for a promoter, you're working for the state. So you got to fill out the 1099 and the whole thing for the state. But when they canceled Louisville this year, I got a phone call 5 minutes after the meeting from the president of the fair board, and he asked if I would come back in 2022, and I kind of allowed that. I was planning on 21 being my last show, but since they didn't have it, I didn't really want to go out that way. And so I agreed to fulfill my contract. And
that's probably Kurt Van Beek calling you.
No, that's the hay guy that I'm supposed to be baling hay for. So I will be in Louisville one more time in 2022.
How about Kansas City?
You're not putting me on the spot. Probably not. you got these other guys helping you out. They got to get their feet wet. You don't need the old goat pasturing you.
Well, you were a trooper in 2020. I know you were under the weather that whole time, and you stuck through it and got it done. So I commend you on that. I know you weren't feeling good.
Yeah, I remember not feeling good, but I done the job, and you know that is one thing out of them 30 some odd years of announcing. Not one show did I ever not do, regardless of condition. Kansas State Fair. I remember Kansas State Fair. I was ultra under the weather. There were 2 or 3 that, I mean,
yeah,
I said I'd do it, and I done it, but I thought that's a pretty good record of not of all the shows I've done.
Yeah, to never miss one like that is something else. You're reading a question there. I must not be getting it, Dave.
Yeah, there it is right there. Oh, Mr. Vanderpool, bless your heart. Iowa State Fair is going to be a rock and roll show. That crowd will be loud and proud. I'm here to tell you that. And I've got to have a phone that sounds like that because I'm so old. I can only remember what they used to sound like. So I got to have one sound like that. They're going to be watching those neck braces. We've already had one disqualification for a neck brace, so you better get it put on. So there you go.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Dave, I appreciate you coming on tonight.
It's fun. I enjoy reminiscing about it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a bunch. I'm sure all the folks watching enjoyed as well and picked up a little history here of truck and tractor pulling as well. So
I can hear Van Beek saying right now the check's in the mail.
I thought that was him calling you to let you know. We couldn't wait till the end of the show. He had to give you a call, let you know. So, but
hey, I will. You know, the good thing is, even though I'm not traveling, not going, outlawpulling.tv is there, and I pick up on some things. I hope to help you guys, help the show to make it look better for the crowd at home as well as in the stands. And even though I'm not there ratchet jawing, that's y'all gonna take that, but I'm still in the background critiquing things.
Yeah,
so.
I get your texts up there when I get a chance to look at my phone, and you can count on me sending you some texts at Louisville next year too as well. So.
All right.
All right.
For everybody who's been putting the nice remarks over here on the side, Will and Andy and John Robertson down in Rockwell, they got a show coming up next week. I hope them good luck down there. So I want to thank all the people that's been putting the good words on the side, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll always be an outlaw.
Dave, we appreciate it. Tell Linda we said hi, and better get back to work. It ain't dark yet, I don't think, is it?
No, not yet. I'm liable to watch a little girl softball here in a little bit.
There you go. Well, Dave, appreciate it. We'll see you down the road, buddy. Take care.
Y'all take care.